put me in a foul mood. I know you just hit the record button. So I'm not going to say anything sensitive. Hey, I'm just saying that Hitler guy just didn't have the right idea.
No, he didn't. No. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Never mind Drew's, depressive antics. This is Whistle While You're Dork, the weekly podcast where we talk about dorkly things and what attempt to whistle. Can you give us a whistle, Drew?
Attempted whistling?
Give us an attempted whistle.
I think it's alleged whistling.
Alleged whistling?
Alleged.
I'm sorry. So. I messed up our own goddamn video description. I apologize.
The funny thing, I asked you for a description yesterday, and he spent so long giving me some admittedly good ones that I just fuck it. And I just wrote my own.
You don't appreciate my meta humor.
By the time I had already finished writing it and moving on, you were still giving me suggestions.
You never said you finished it, though.
I wanted to see where you went with it. I enjoyed all of them.
Oh, gee. I got a good idea. Let's just see how stupid it can be.
I basically took your first one and just modified it a little bit. But yeah, now we have a description. I guess it doesn't matter if you're listening to this, but we're officially on iTunes.
Yep, we're on iTunes.
YouTube.
And the YouTubes.
And Snapchat.
Yep.
A podcast on Snapchat. This is the longest fucking Snapchat ever.
My data! Oh no! I listened to the whole thing!
We just individually snap every single 8-second portion. Oh my god!
It's the 8-second podcast.
I bet
funny antics.
There's people that would do that though. There's people that would just the guy to watch all their snaps and he's like, fuck.
Well, now that Vine's gone, you gotta get my fix, man.
I'm so tempted to snap a piece of this podcast, but then I remembered I don't have friends. I'm like, wait, who did I send it to?
How sad. Just a reminder that this podcast is brought to you by advertisers. Anyway, today we would like to debut the first of our new segment called Word of the Day, where Drew gives us a word that sounds funny or obscure or wacky, and then attempts to use it at some point during the podcast. So what do you got for us today?
The word of the day is dilatory.
Dilatory, what can I get a definition, please?
Tending to procrastinate or be slow.
Yes. You said dilatory, and I immediately thought, like a dildo. And I'm like, no.
That's Dildo's story.
Oh, okay.
The story of Dildo.
How do you spell it? Is it Dilitory?
Dilatory.
Okay. Because when I hear dilatory, I also think deleterious, but that's like libel.
This is different.
Okay.
But dilatory. So let's see if we can work in the word dilatory into this podcast.
Okay. And to go hand in hand with that, I have my own recording-ish segment called High on Knowledge. Do you like that? Was it a good sound effect?
That was sound effect fucking theater, man.
Yeah. Only the best for our viewer.
I think you mean listener.
So my thing sort of also involves a word. So there's the things called demonyms, and demonyms are words that you refer to a group of people, usually in a particular geographic region, like a state or a nation state. And the knowledge I'm about to drop are that of all the demonyms of all the recognizable, nation states or self-governing entities in the world, the only one that has the letter X is the demonym for the people who live on the Isle of Man in the British Isles. And they are called the Manx. M-A-N-X. Only one. It's very interesting, though, because I was looking at this list of just demonyms for people, in certain localities. And, some of these places are like overly wordy. Like, if you get to the British Virgin Islands, what's the demonym for that? Oh, they're the British Virgin Islanders. Mouthful of words. And then I'm like, well, wait, what about the Vatican? So I get to the Vatican. Take a wild guess for what the Vatican demonym is.
Vatican pals.
What?
Vatican pals.
Vatican pals.
Yeah. It does. The Vatican pals.
Pope Francis and his Vatican pals. No, it's the lamest thing you've ever heard. They're just called Vatican citizens. Get it? Vatican City? Vatican citizens?
God, it makes a stupid amount of sense.
It's like, you just put citizens at the end of any demonym. Like, oh, the Uzbekistanian citizens. Oh, the Kyrgyzstan citizens. Oh, the New Zealand citizens.
So I just wonder where the breakdown
The Manx citizens.
stops exactly. Like, what would we be called?
We're Americans.
But we're also New Yorkers. Does it stop there?
At
what point?
There's other demonym lists. Maybe we can look at this after the show. But it's also a list of like the 50 states in the United States. Their demonyms were New Yorkers, as well as Knickerbockers. If you're getting real old timey colloquial type stuff, like people from Ohio State, Ohio, you could call the Buckeyes. People from Ohio State University, you could also call the Buckeyes. From Iowa, the Hawkeyes. That kind of colloquialism. I think I saw this is on Wikipedia. I think there was a further list of like what you could call people from certain counties or from Louisiana parishes.
This goes deep.
And I'm like, that seems very extensive. Maybe we shouldn't give away our county demonym if I can fathom what it might be called. But
good thing you said that because I was about to. But hey, why
don't you just give them our social security number while you're at it?
The 7841 sins.
You want to say something?
What should the demonym for the listener of our podcast be?
That's a good question. How about... I was thinking dorkers, but I think we can get more creative.
New dorkers?
New dorkers?
Oh, that hurts. Oh, that's how you know it's good.
So yeah, people in the comment section, people writing reviews, whatever. If you consider yourself a new dorker, write to NBC News, care of Brian Williams, to express your opinion.
New dorkers are the strongest army out there, bruh.
Yeah, bro. You new dorker, bro.
Ain't no fandom like the New Dorkers fandom.
Hey, that was good. That was good vocal stylings there, Drew. Which means it must be time for
a transition.
Fuck yeah, this week.
All right.
Wait for the music to end.
Or maybe I didn't even start it yet.
Come on and gather round and come on and gather round and come on and gather round. It's time for Fuck Yeah This Week. Yes.
It'll come any minute now. Wait for it. The music.
Brandon, it already ended.
God damn. Welcome to Fuck Yeah This Week, where we talk about positive little experiences that marginally improved our day because we have very depressing lives. Would you like to start this time? Or
sure.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
lay it on me, bro.
I won't reveal too many details, but I work at a theater, and I often hide away backstage. And they can't listen to your air quotes. But so I was on break, and I was back there, and I usually just hide back there. Lights are off. I'm enjoying myself. This time the lights happen to be on, but whatever. And there were people that were using the stage in front of me. Curtain is closed, so no one should really be behind that curtain. But there were kids using the front of the stage, and of course, some of them are going to be wily enough, and one of them happened to go back, and they announced, "Hey, I think those are Drew's legs back there." I'm like, fuck. My cover, it doth be blown. And so the person that was in charge of watching him kind of pulls him back to the other side of the curtain. In the next 10 seconds, I turn off the lights and I hightail it down a secret spiral staircase. And at the very bottom of the staircase, I listen. I hear the kid come back. And he goes, did you turn those lights off? And the guy in charge of me was like, you need to not be back here. You need to be in front of the curtains. Like, I swear Drew was back there. I know he was back there. And for the next minute, I'm just hearing this poor kid frantically like, where'd he go? I know he was there. Where is he? I'm like, I'm not trying to fuck with you. This is just a side effect of me wanting to be left alone. Is you being scarred for life.
Was the other, I guess, counselor, like, really? Like...
the other guy watching him, I love it, because he said, why would Drew be back here? He's definitely not back here. I'm like, oh.
He has very distinct legs, and I don't see them.
And just as icing on the cake, so the dust sort of settles, and this kid must have some behavioral problems, because I think he threw a tantrum or something. He was so paranoid, which I don't feel too great about. But this next part will make it seem like I didn't give a crap, because the staircase leads to, a series of tunnels, and what I did is I entered the theater from the complete opposite direction to make it seem like I had never been there in the first place. And I looked right at that kid.
Did you look at him with eyes like, I know what you know, but you can't prove it?
I looked at him as if nothing in the world had happened. The eyes that would tell him, you're crazy for what you're thinking right now. And I just found that weirdly satisfying. I mean, I sort of feel bad for him, because he was completely right and nobody believes him.
Was this today, or
it was this week?
It was this week.
So it did happen this week.
Has it come up again?
Nope.
You have scarred him for life.
I don't think I've spoken to him since, but maybe I'll bring it up one day. I'll track him down in 26 years and go, remember me?
Do you remember these? Oh God, those legs!
He starts having flashbacks. Oh,
it was Drew, I tells ya.
Please, Drew. I have a family now. Look at my calves. You saw them.
They haven't changed in a decade and a half. How? Pop-Tarts. Mine is not nearly as funny, but maybe I can deliver it as such. So at my place of employment, which is not this show, I went up to just fill up my water bottle in the kitchen of my office, and some of the women I work with there were playing gin rummy. So I'm like, oh, I got time to kill. I'll see who wins, this game. And it looked fun. And I like rummy. It's one of my favorite card games. And one of the women had to go answer a call or meet with a client or something like that. So they invited me. Hey, Brandon, why don't you come join in? I'm like, oh yeah, sure. This will be fun. And I don't know what came over me, but as soon as I sat down, I'm like, okay, I've got to go full Dark Horse, count me some cards, because I really wanted to get back to work, because I feel like I dawdled too much, and I like to keep busy just to make sure I'm being useful. But I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna go ham sandwich, just make sure I win this in 5 turns. That didn't happen, but I'm there. I'm like, okay, I've got 4 4s right now. That's a good start, and now I just need 3 in a row, or 3 of an aces, and we're going, and the woman next to me is all every time I discard, she's like, oh, I didn't want that, and I'm just staying quiet as a mouse. I'm like, yep, just take what I discard. I'm gonna win this game. We reached, I think, the second or third end of the deck. So one of my coworkers reshuffled. She discards, deals to me. I draw the card. I discard my one card. I get my third ace or something. So I got 4 4s and 3 aces. Throw my cards down on the table, and I didn't actually like chest tap, but I was like, yo. And all of them went like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, and they're like, and one of them commented is like, he actually threw his cards down. I'm like, oh yeah, I probably should have been a little more subtle than that. But yeah. So I left him on the table. I'm like, I gotta get back to work. Bye. And just left.
So smooth, so cool. Oh.
And then we played today actually, and I did not win.
I was gonna ask.
I did not win. I won once. I did not win 2 of the other times that we played.
And so that time, as you said, I gotta get back to work, you tripped over your chair and knocked over the table. Oh gosh! Oh.
That would have been the best way to like punctuate that, because that's how, if there was a single camera sitcom about my life, that's totally something that would happen.
There are certain things that I would absolutely pay to see.
Winning at gin rummy and then tripping over your shoelaces.
I don't know if I should share this. There's a I won't say the name.
Have at it.
A certain portly friend of ours, and
well, that's a lot of friends of ours, but go on.
There have been many jokes made about my consumption of fast food, and we've sort of inflated it into a hyperbole, but my absolute favorite scenario is when I show up at the McDonald's drive-thru, and there are people there that are so excited to see me that they start bursting out to a rendition of Be Our Guest, and our certain immensely portly friend is trying to do a dance move and completely crashes into the milkshake machine. I picture him wearing a boa. Be Our Guest.
Oh no! Oh no, my lactose intolerance!
I can't get that image out of my head, though. It's just one of those things. I think I would really pay for this to happen. Just, okay, can I share another thing?
Oh yeah, go.
I don't know why. The other day, I'm watching a Broderick movie with
the Matthew Broderick.
With the Broderick cohort, you know him. I don't know why I just start thinking, what if Matthew Broderick is just in like this really crappy Shrek costume singing All Star? And there's a real live donkey in front of him. And in the process of him going,
somebody once told me.
In the process of that, he just gets fucking nailed in the balls by the donkey. Donkey just,
where the hell is this coming from?
It was just so funny to me. Matthew Broderick in awful green face paint.
Do you like a bad Halloween Shrek costume, or like the Shrek costume from the Broadway musical?
Like a bad Halloween Shrek costume. He's just trying to sing Smash Mouth and gets plowed in the balls.
Does he have a Scottish accent?
No, of course not. But that's another example of something I think I would pay to have this done if I had the money.
It's on YouTube. It happens. Cut to black. Executive producer Drew DeMille.
I mean, the whole movie.
That your McDonald's story, and I promise, folks, we'll get into the main segment any second. But the McDonald's story brings up a little anecdote that happened a couple weeks ago. Master Drew Regard was over at my place, and we were watching the Tony Awards. And like any Tony Awards celebration, you need taquitos and chicken wings, courtesy of TGI Fridays brand chicken wings. And these particular wings were a certain flavor of TGI Fridays sauce. So you microwave the wings, you serve them, on a plate, and you have a good time watching, the Tony Awards. I put them on the plate, the fresh out of the microwave. I have some. I serve them to my dear guest sitting beside me. He takes a bite, and says, "Oh, that's TGI Fridays barbecue sauce." And I said, "How do you know that? How the hell do you know that?"
I didn't even remember that.
So yeah, he's unlike at McDonald's. They do not sing "Be Our Guest" when Drew goes to TGI Fridays. What do they sing?
At McDonald's?
No, TGI Fridays.
TGI Fridays? Please leave, please leave. We don't like you here. You eat all our food and we lose $70.
Which is that is also true. Any hay? I've got some hay right here.
Do I look like a horse, Brendan? Just tried to sell you.
Just do the bit.
I tried to sell your mistake.
Your selling is poor. You are no longer chief salesman.
Oh no, I've lost my position at Whistle, you dork.
You can say goodbye to your 401k.
Oh, I thought that was an area code.
I sound like a dorky Dalek now.
You sound like slightly cooler Skeletor. Like he put on sunglasses, like, oh.
Hey man, your buck stops here.
Anyone want a toke after we get back from drama club rehearsal?
Mirror smash. Anyway, for our main theme today, Drew and I are both avid fans of animation and animated storytelling. Him probably more so than me. He is actually in my personal, and I'm being totally serious, a very skilled animated artist.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And maybe until recent months, was a very big fan of the Pixar Corporation.
I'll give it until Coco, man.
Okay. Okay. Until November. Stay tuned. And I'm an avid Walt Disney fan. The first movie I can ever remember seeing was The Lion King. Love that.
Oh, I was pointing to the stack of DVDs the mic is resting on. I'm like, look, The Lion King. And then I saw, The Lion King 1.5.
No.
Oh.
No. Not animated Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. So I thought, as a way of, without bias, try to objectively compare what the best that Disney has to offer in terms of animated films and what Pixar has to offer in terms of animated films. So the way this is going to work is I've asked Drew, and I myself have prepared a list of the top 5 animated films that we think are best from both Disney and Pixar. I'll be doing Disney, he Pixar. However, we will be presenting them in a sort of strategic order, because the way this is going to work is one film at a time. We will both compare and contrast their strengths and weaknesses, but it won't be in like number 5 is the 5th best, number 1's the best. We have it in such a way that we want the majority of our films to beat out the other person's films. So, like, give you an example, this may or may not happen. Let's say Drew picks Ratatouille and I pick The Sword and the Stone. So we'll talk about the positive traits of the other film at first, and then go and sort of objective compare and contrast in terms of overall storytelling, animation, characters, the like. And then the objective will come to some sort of objective consensus, and then that film will be declared the winner. And then we'll move on. So it's not necessarily the best going against the best. It's sort of the right films going up against the right films.
Sort of a luck of the draw thing.
And a real luck of the draw, maybe.
Sort of like playing war.
It's like, it really is like movie war, animated war.
I mean, like the card game, like.
Oh, yes. Not like, the way Food Fight, I guess, is a war.
Yeah, let's say that we each have an ace.
Or a war crime.
Maybe we play our aces at the same time, or maybe I happen to play my ace and you play a 3, and I go, all right, I'm gonna win this one.
I probably should have picked a lesser movie just to give you a gimme, but no, I actually did try to pick my top 5 best ones.
Well, these aren't even necessarily my favorite Pixar movies, but I think this will be a very interesting discussion.
Alia jacta est, my friend. All right, and we have not discussed these lists. These are totally pre-prepared, not changing anything at the last minute. This is the honor system. What is your first film, my brother?
The Incredibles.
The Incredibles. Personal favorite of mine. And my first is Robin Hood. So the way this will begin is we'll start by complimenting the other person's film. So I guess I'll start. The Incredibles is far and away one of my favorite Pixar films. The way the human designs just pop off the screen, I think Pixar really showed that you can do computer animated people well and not have any sort of uncanny valley in there. That was in 2005, and then I think a lot of animation studios have followed suit since then, like Illumination, even though some of their designs may be more stylized. Certainly DreamWorks out of that, although DreamWorks
depending on the movie.
Yeah, DreamWorks had varying success, I guess, with Shrek and Shrek 2, but again, uncanny valley. Soundtrack, I'm not really going in any sort of order. Soundtrack, love the jazz theme. Really harkens back to sort of Pulp Fiction type stuff you might see out of the 30s, as well as give it a real nice, fresh, energetic flavor for third act boosters or the like. And the cast is great. You got Mr. Incredible, Bob Parr, who is forced to be an everyman, and is struggling to live what many people might consider as, for the most part, the American dream, while still feeling his potential is held back because he has so much potential to do good for other people. And you can get into the rational objectivist arguments for the film's themes, but I probably won't get into too much of that there. Mrs. Incredible, just trying to support her husband, as well as adapt to a sort of less super life. Certainly does it better than her husband. A villain who tries to take away the aspects that make people unique or special about themselves by giving them gifts that make them more than what they seem, I think is a very brilliant idea. Pixar film to actually have the gall to kill off their villain, and probably one of the gruesomest things that I can think of. Can you think of a more gruesome Pixar death?
Getting eaten by baby birds.
Yeah. Yeah. Poor Kevin Spacey.
I thought that happened to Frozone.
And I also love Samuel L. Jackson as Frozone. He's cool. The whole "Where is my super suit?" is, in my opinion, one of the best jokes in the whole movie. So yeah, and great colors and everything. I think Brad Bird really knew. He really had a vision for the kind of world he wanted, like this movie that, for lack of a better word, existed in a comic book, and I think it really was Marvel before Marvel did Marvel. Your thoughts on Robin Hood?
I'm not gonna have nearly as much to say. One, because I want to keep it short.
Yeah.
Two, because I haven't seen that movie in 15 years.
In Drew's defense, I really do love The Incredibles, and I do have a lot to say about it, but have at it.
What do I remember about Robin Hood? That's positive. Mm-hmm. There was a song in the opening credits that I remember being catchy, ooh.
How'd it go, Drew?
Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. I don't know.
I'm trying to get him to whistle, but he's not going.
Oh, there was whistling in it? Was it written for Robin Hood, or was it just...
Oh, the singer is Alan O'Dale, the rooster.
But the song, was it written for the movie Robin Hood? Was it an original, or did it come from something else?
It's called The Whistle Stop, and I assume they wrote it for Robin Hood. It sounds folky, but yeah, you got a point.
Yeah. It was in the top 2 portrayals of lead Fox characters in Disney animated movies.
Second only to Mickey Rooney.
There's a snake in it. Oh, you're right. Top 3. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I don't know what he was thinking of then.
Zootopia.
Oh, damn, yeah. Spoilers, Zootopia's not on my list. I should have known. Anyway, go ahead.
I feel bad. That's it. I just don't remember much about it.
Not the swashbuckliness, the adventure,
It's been so long.
The foppish villain.
All I can tell you is there's a lion as a king, and I think he's got a snake henchman, but I might be mixing that up with the Jungle Book.
No, you got it.
And
that's a tiger, Drew.
There's gold Goshen coins. There's some scene, I think, where the lion is in a carriage.
Mm-hmm. That's the opening.
That's all I remember. I'm sorry. I'm really trying, but yeah, I'm sure it was good.
Again, talking about animation. Just what's your take on the art direction? I suppose because that I'm sure maybe not plot, but I'm sure you remember images.
No. Wow. You picked one. It might be the Disney movie it's the longest since I've seen it.
Yeah.
No, that can't be true. I think it's been a long time since I saw it. Well, I would remember something like Cinderella a lot better though because it's just a little bit more iconic.
Yeah.
But I guess I remember Robin Hood having good. I think he dressed as a lady? I think at some point
in the carriage when he was.
Wasn't he shooting arrows as a lady?
No.
Okay.
He was conning Prince John as a lady, and then there is a scene where he's disguised as a stork, but he's in the archery competition.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking of. So, just like the movie Brave, when Merida came out dressed as a stork. And said, "I'm fighting for the babies." Anyway, a good film. Mm-hmm. I will try.
Just not very memorable.
I will try very hard. It's really been. I was a little babe when I last saw it, and I haven't seen it since.
Well, this is going to be hard bringing down my favorite Pixar film in favor of my selection.
Oh, it's going to be hard for me to bring down a film I don't know much about.
I'll say this. I think Robin Hood has a lot more heart than The Incredibles. Sort of harken back to like you can read into Incredibles a lot of subtext about what does it mean to be unique? What does it mean to be special? What does it mean to be better than the average person? But I don't know. Robin Hood just has this heart to it. Like, not to say that the characters in The Incredibles aren't lovable or memorable, but Robin Hood is charming. Little John is comedic and a good friend. Friar Tuck is a man of God and supportive, and and also at the same time doesn't take crap from anyone. Maid Marian actually is charming in her own right and can and even fought off some of Prince John's henchmen. And the kids are, I think, are there as a way of grounding it. And when the rooster sings the song that a lot of people, I think, in the folk scene have at least covered, I think, called Not in Nottingham, which goes, every town has its ups and downs. Sometimes ups outnumber the downs, but not in Nottingham. The rain's falling and it's thundering, and you really feel that the characters are at their lowest point. Compare that to The Incredibles, where I guess Mr. Incredible feels like he's at his lowest point when he thinks his family has been killed. Spoilers. But I think that's rather fleeting in the grand scheme of things, and everything is a bit different. I'll give it this much. The stakes seem higher in terms of total world annihilation. But yeah. Your retort, sir.
Well, The Incredibles didn't reuse any animation from previous films.
No, touche. I think Robin Hood came first.
Before which one?
Before The Jungle Book. Am I right or am I right?
Jungle Book was the 60s, if I remember, but I don't know.
That's correct. I'll look it up. You finish your thought. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
They took one from Snow White.
Oh yeah.
So
with
it
Maid
definitely
Marian.
came first.
That's very true.
Yeah, I don't knock. A lot of people knock Disney for it. And I get the thing is, I think now in hindsight, it's not a move they ever should have done because we can easily make a GIF and go, haha, look, hacks. But back then, that's just not something people would notice. You know what I mean?
Internet back then. Le gasp.
Yeah, it's not something anyone would think twice. But I mean, Beauty and the Beast, I love that movie, but they had to reuse animation on that one too. They stole from Sleeping Beauty because they're on a budget. So I get it. It doesn't ruin the movie really.
I think Drew is right, ladies and gentlemen. Robin Hood, Disney's Robin Hood is. It looks. Oh, I just had it. I think it said 1973, and Jungle Book is 1967. So you're absolutely right. I mean, I'm gonna bash my own film. Not only do they reuse animation of Baloo in the Jungle Book for Little John when he's dancing in the forest, but he's voiced by the same guy.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, the same guy who voiced Thomas O'Malley in the Aristocats.
Wow.
I think his name was...
There's a movie that I know way less than Robin Hood.
The Aristocats?
We should watch that after we record this bullshit.
Yeah, let's do it. I haven't seen the Aristocats in a while.
I know.
But no, you got it. Robin Hood reused animation.
Yeah, and I don't knock him for it, but I'm trying to look for flaws here. I mean, obviously Disney didn't regard it as a classic because you go to their parks and you don't really see anything related to Robin Hood.
That's
True.
Remember. And like I loved Robin Hood as a kid, but like in the Disney zeitgeist, it's like not there.
We're 90s kids, so we're looking at it from a different scope, but if you really pay attention, a lot of movies that we assume are classics are not considered classics. Like Disney does not pay attention to Pocahontas. There's no mention of the Hunchback.
Well, I don't consider Pocahontas a classic, but...
No, but, like, growing up, that was the Disney Renaissance, and for me, in my head, I'm like, that's one of the big movies, and there's barely any of it. And this might be surprising to you, but you, like, really don't see any mention at all at Disney World or any of the Disney parks of Home on the Range. It's...
No! You mean it doesn't have its own ride in Frontierland?
I wanted a picture with one of those fat fucking cows.
I prefer the Jennifer Tilly one. Just saying.
It's exactly 1 year where they were promoting it, and that's when they were still trying to sell tickets.
I know we're gonna get sidetracked, and this show may run a little bit longer than we anticipate, but Dame Judi Dench was one of the cows in Home on the Range, and
what?
Yes. I think the one with the hat or something with the daisy, and she was on the Graham Norton Show, which is a British talk show where they have a bunch of guests on and talk at the same time. And I think they had been on the subject of animation, and Graham asks her like, "And you, Dame Judi Dench, you were in an animated movie as well?" And she's like, "I was." And it's like, "Oh, yes, Home on the Range." He's like, "Oh, yes, Home on the Range." He's like, "Can you tell us about that?" She's like, "Oh, I believe I was one of the cows." And that's all I can really remember. And I'm like, oh my God, that's hilarious.
Well, fun fact, she was also in Dougal, the American version. So she was in two animated movies.
Hold your horses, Drew.
Hold my cows.
Hold your cows and dogs, Drew, because Dougal's Day will come on this show. We'll just have to wait for it.
A whole episode just for Dougal.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on Robin Hood?
You know, this is an interesting... I can't say that... how dare they make a movie with the Fox, because this was the first Fox movie, really. And then they had Fox and Hounds, which is probably better, technically. And then they had Zootopia, which was, according to the Oscars, definitely better. But this is what I think. This is an interesting peeve, but... It seems like Disney would make a lot of movies like this, but I don't actually know a lot of movies that exist in the Disney animated canon where you just kind of have anthropomorphic animals. Like, can you think of something besides Robin Hood.
Keyword being anthropomorphic.
Yes, like Jungle Book, they really, for the most part,
I would say, well, no, because Jungle Book's not really anthropomorphic because...
No, I wouldn't count it.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, Shere Khan is mostly on all fours. The snake is...
Blue's up and standing and all that.
But, Bear's kind of stands. Yeah, and
I mean, it's like anthropomorphic in the sense that... Oh,
they're wearing clothes.
In this world,
I mean?
they wear clothes. They're people. They're this world's people. You got Zootopia.
And that's with Zootopia, for me, it's like they took the premise of anthropomorphic animals and they did the ultimate thing with it. Because I feel anthropomorphic is just kind of used as that'll be interesting, for the movie Sing. Not really any reason they had to be anthropomorphic animals, but it's just a thing to do. Same with Kung Fu Panda. Zootopia felt like it actually finally addressed this style, this concept, and went somewhere with it, which is what I found fascinating about Zootopia. And I felt other movies hadn't really done that. It had just kind of been accepted as a thing, and no one really talked about it. But has Disney done anything like that besides Robin Hood, is the question.
I really don't think so. So would you give it credit for being one of a kind?
I guess stylistically, because it didn't do what Zootopia did, I guess
it is a period piece.
Technically, it wasn't one of a kind because cartoons long before that had done it. It was just Disney animated features that hadn't done it. But I'd say, in a way, it's almost like I guess it's a creative thing to do, but you could argue that it's sort of like a lazy fallback. Let's just use that style. Just have animals in it and not really explain it one way or another.
Yeah, that's in a way that's what I respect about it a lot, is because at the beginning you have the rooster and he's like, I mean, this line's a little cheesy, but he's like, we folks in the animal kingdom have our own version. It's a story that really happened in Sherwood Forest. I'm like, okay. Something tells me that all the animals in England didn't partake in this, but okay, and then that's it. It's the rest of the film, they're just animals. And just leave it at that. And it's just interesting creative choice, I think.
Yeah, I guess it can be taken both ways. I kind of have a weird respect for it too, but at the same time, I can look at it and feel, this is sort of lazy.
Yeah, I'm
trying to look and let's see here. A really, really, really quick. Not Bambi. I could think about counting the three Calaberos and stuff like that.
The three Caballeros. I mean, that's barely a movie.
Technically, Mr. Toad was wearing clothes.
Yeah.
That again, that's also barely a movie.
It's also a shorter film.
Alice in Wonderland it feels unfair to count that. You know what I mean?
That's more fantastical.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you got animals in that too.
They almost the fact they were wearing clothes, I actually kind of had an explanation, really. The Rescuers, they were wearing shirts. I haven't, full disclosure, I haven't seen any of the Rescuers movies.
Okay, spoilers. The mice are the people in that world. Now there are other animals. There are crocodiles that don't talk. There's the albatross or whatever that is voiced by. Oh, I forget the first one, and then John Candy voices him in the sequel. But he's their version of a pilot. But because they have the mouse UN and stuff like that. So I think that's probably the closest Robin Hood Zootopia thing we get.
The Great Mouse Detective.
Again, mice.
Yeah, I have seen that one. I think that's just about it.
2 Disney movies about a underground mice community. Huh.
Yeah, and 3 about a fox doing stuff. How dare they?
Well, yeah. So
actually, Dinosaur. Remember how they were all wearing tuxedos?
Oh yeah, just a classic, that one.
Yeah.
and the sloths were their version of hamsters. So what's the verdict? Do you think?
Oh, Winnie the Pooh, just because he's wearing a shirt, I'm not counting. He's not even a real bear. Verdict. feel like The Incredibles.
I think so. I gave it too much credit, so
I agree with you that
point goes to Pixar.
The Incredibles is actually not one of my favorite Pixar movies for that exact reason that I feel it kind of lacked heart. I think the action and plotting was fantastic, but it always felt a little dry to me in terms of just the sort of emotion that you get from a lot of different Pixar movies. And some people love the movie and don't even care that it's like, I'm hoping the sequel decides to like dip into that territory just a little bit more. But The Incredibles in the Pixar timeline was a super interesting thing because they went in such a different direction after all their previous movies. Anyway, how far in are we?
1.
1 hour?
No, one movie.
I'm at the podcast in terms of the listeners already know. We can look.
What do you mean? Oh, time-wise? Oh, there is.
All right, we're 44 minutes in. What do you think? Can we plow through the next 4 really quickly?
Let's try
Or
it.
should we make this like a 4-parter?
We could do that.
We could just like reconvene next week and do the other 3.
Let's do that. Maybe we'll just make it a 2-parter.
Or we can just...
Sorry guys, we hate to pull a game theory on you, but that's what we got to do because we have lives. So second one, what's you got?
Let me like da da dum ha ba dum ba da. Ah, crap! Did I get rid of it? Oh, there it is. Second one is Toy Story 3.
Ooh, mine is The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
That's super interesting.
Yeah. You first this time. Positive things about Hunchback.
All right. I like the movie a lot. I showed it to my kids actually, and I remember them going, "They're saying a bad word. They're saying hell." And just that alone, I went, "That's cool, you Disney." I'm glad you're making an animated movie about stuff like this and not shying away from things like that. I think the music, especially the opening number Out There, is really underrated. There's some phenomenal music in this thing.
And the sequences,
Yeah.
where he's like hopping around the columns. And...
Hellfire is a fantastic sequence. I didn't even really mind the gargoyles that much. I mean, yes, I think it was just a hair overdone.
Yeah.
But I didn't really have a problem with that. I'm like, it makes sense. He's getting lost in a fantasy world.
Yeah, it's like he's the only people he knows are Frollo and maybe some of the monks or priests or the archdeacon that work in Notre Dame that may administer communion to him or something.
Do I wish the final... I guess I'm slipping into a negative here. Maybe the final fight scene kind of a little less wacky, but it was mostly serious. It was mostly... Hearing one of the guys flop a letter, Yahoo! I'm like, no. He's
right into the set.
As his spine fractures on a cathedral wall. Nah. But I thought it was a solid movie, very well animated, just at the height of their traditional animation. A really bold and interesting story choice.
What about character designs?
I mean, they were great. I think having a non-white as Esmeralda was shocking. No, it was cool. I mean, I still want to read the original story, and I'm not sure if her character was always supposed to be dark-skinned.
She is Roma, so those people of that ethnic group are from sort of southeastern Europe and the Balkan states, and their skin does tend to be more Mediterranean.
At the time, I mean, not that I was even thinking about this at all as a kid, because, I guess I wasn't a racist child, which is nice. But that was sort of a breath of fresh air. You didn't really see that many dark-skinned characters in these Disney movies.
Even though it came after Pocahontas?
Well, it's like...
And Aladdin.
You just, liberal eyebrow raise me. Oh, that's not... I'm just saying. I'm talking... Yeah, but even those, they...
You mean... I will go on record and say that Esmeralda is...
I'm talking...
Should be a Disney princess and is easily one of Disney's strongest female characters.
Yeah, I'm talking the dark skin. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That kind of representation.
Okay.
So that was nice. Quasimodo, that had to be a really hard design to get right. I think they did a great job with it. I want to be him for Halloween.
Gonna have to make a few changes. I may have to punch you.
I've talked to the surgeon.
Can you insert a hump, please?
I might need to get a firearm so I can hold him at gunpoint and make him do the surgery because it's apparently illegal. But we're going to make this happen. It's going to be a great Halloween. Just going to need morphine for the next 25 years. That aside, and it was good. Good stuff. Frollo had a phenomenal voice actor who did so well in Beauty and the Beast that they decided they wanted to use him in Hunchback.
The late, great Tony Jay. Real nice guy. Okay. Toy Story 3. So, a lot of why I like Toy Story 3 so much is because it came out the year before you and I graduated high school. And if anyone's seen Toy Story 3, you know, like, it's a real... If you're going to college, son, the waterworks are gonna, you know, start flowing. And, you know, all the Toy Story movies, and you've told me this before, like, in terms of their, I don't want to say shtick, but, like, their place in Pixar's movie canon is, like, the common theme among all of them is old age, getting older, and the idea that, you know, things don't last forever. Toy Story 3, I would argue, never mind old age or, you know, outliving your usefulness in terms of life. Like, Toy Story 3 is about toys' mortality. And question for Pixar have going into Toy Story 4 is, how do you move past mortality unless you're going to introduce the afterlife, which all toys go to heaven, I guess. Because it was such a, it was made so far after, you know, Toy Story 1 and 2, like, Pixar's had, you know, chance to improve its animation, its computers are more powerful now, so the colors can just be that much more vibrant, the designs can flow that much more, so everything animation-wise from Toy Story 1 and Toy Story 2 has been plussed. Villain-wise, I really liked Lotso. I think I prefer Prospector a bit better in terms of what he meant as like in terms of like encapsulating like the horrors of like outliving your usefulness or like being dejected. With Lotso, it's like, oh, you know, this my caretaker doesn't like me anymore, therefore, you know.
Sorry, it's
coins.
The Holocaust.
Coins fall on the ceiling. So, you know, therefore, like, you know, no one could love me, also love me in despair. But still, I think that's still very strong. A nice antagonist to have the toys work against. The toys themselves, I'm not so sure that individually they go through, you know, a traditional character arc. I think they, as a collective, go through a very, very nice arc where, again, because Andy's going to college and they're you know, being confronted with, you know, life after that, like, what do? They, you know, go to the daycare, then they go to eventually, you know, almost are incinerated in the dumpster fire, and, you know, that as a group, like, that's, you know, collective, like, they've been through so much together, so this is potentially I think a common understanding they have come the end of the film. But then I think, you know, they move past that, you know, when they're with their new owner at the end. What else can I say? And just a great, it's just an all-time great, like, I'd hate to call it a coming-of-age movie, but it really is. Like, if you're at that age, like, I can't think of a more perfect movie to, like, watch and, like, help you give your life prior to the age of 18 if you are going to, you know, higher education or, you know, entering the workforce, something like that. Better closure than that film. What are the positive things I can say? The new toys, great designs. great great addition of Michael Keaton as Ken, playing the sort of unconventional pretty boy, but also as a foil to the toys, at least at first. And I'm glad that Andy's mom, Andy's voice actor, and allegedly Sid's voice actor all make reappearances in the film.
Those gargoyles are fucking terrible.
Oh God, here it comes.
I won't even pick that bone necessarily. I mean,
Pick it. I mean, it is. I'll admit it is they are the weakest part of that film.
They could have been smarter about it, I think. If they wanted it to just be imagination, I realize that Disney films all have their moments where they just go, screw it. And, when Jason Alexander was eating pebbles and then spitting them out like an...
as a machine gun.
Yeah, at someone, you could argue, all right, well, maybe that's in Quasimodo's head. Like, there's technically a loose explanation for it. Like, didn't necessarily have to have it. Maybe the guy just decided to throw himself off a ladder for no reason. Or maybe that guy never existed. That's where it becomes a problem. You're asking too many questions.
Occam's razor!
And then all of a sudden, the villain's dead. And you're like, oh, wait, I was still, trying to figure out the pebble machine gun, thing. That's why you put in explanations like that. And I think the song about, she should love ya, la-dee-doo, it just totally didn't feel like it fit in with... I don't mind that they wanted to do something that felt like it didn't belong in the era necessarily, but no other song sounded like that, and it just stuck out in a really uncomfortable sort of way. An accidental positive here. I think it was bold that they had that love song, and then at the end he did not wind up getting away with the girl, but I don't think... The whole thing just sort of felt underdeveloped to me. I don't think Quasimodo's love for Esmeralda was that you didn't really feel it. She was nice to him. That's nice, but to me, I didn't really feel like he really loved her. I didn't really feel that much of the tension between him and Blonde
Phoebus.
Yeah, who's he? Was he
Kevin Kline?
Kevin Kline, that's right. Just the plotting itself. I mean, it had an interesting ending. I'll give it that. But just everything leading up to it, just, the gypsies, we gotta get those gypsies. I'm like, why? Why? Because they're...
Read the book.
Yeah. The movie should have just said that. You should read the book. Pause now.
I was summoned from the war to capture fortune tellers and palm readers. Why? Yeah. You should read the book.
From, casual Joe sitting here, I just watched it. I'm like, why? What the hell's wrong with the gypsies? They do silly dances, whatever. You just have a fucking festival where you have people, sucking each other's dicks on the streets. La-di-doodly-doo! But gypsies is where you draw the line. They can't have earrings. What?
Must have been on the cutting room floor, that scene.
I'm just saying, the way they were positioned in some of these costumes.
Hey, Mr. Eisner, what do you think about this dick-sucking scene in The Hunchback of Notre Dame? Well, our investors think it probably doesn't go with our brand. All right, let's get rid of it.
Well, you know what else doesn't go with our brand? The Hunchback of Notre Dame. So put it in.
Well, I have to disagree with you a bit, because Esmeralda is the only person he ever experienced genuine affection for. Now, you can make the argument that that wasn't real sort of reciprocal affection, but to him it was. It's the first respect or just human connection he's had with anyone. And she kissed him on top of it all. Clearly something he recognizes as a token of affection. So I can't help but buy that he really does fall for her. But I guess in order to have a romantic relationship work, it has to be reciprocal. So.
Yeah, I can buy that he fell for her, definitely, but it didn't feel that triumphant to me. Compared to, like, if someone really has something in common with someone, you really feel that. But for him, in an interesting, sad way, but sort of, at the same time, a boring way, it was the only girl. So he was just like, I love you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like if Frollo kissed him. He's like, I love you. Like you're like, what? Or, I've always shipped Quasimodo and the Jason Alexander gargoyle, personally.
Yeah.
I think Jason Alexander would definitely be the top in that relationship.
Interesting. That's very interesting because in the movie, Quasimodo is clearly in love with Esmeralda, and Hugo is clearly in love with Esmeralda's goat, Jolly.
Well, that's the thing. I see Esmeralda getting together with her goat is the other part.
She gets her goat? She gets her own goat?
You motherfucker! Our whole podcast is leading up to that joke. That's it. Like, how do we go up from here? That's it. We've reached our apex.
You could use your word of the day, which you still haven't used.
At this point, I feel that would be dilatory.
You know what? It works. It really worked this time. Okay.
God, shit all over Toy Story 3.
Yeah. So I also consider Toy Story 3, despite its emotional impact, for certain persons of a certain age, I really think it's kind of the weakest of the Toy Story movies, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but in terms of purpose, it seems there to, yes, further, the usefulness, old age theme, but I feel like it almost like doesn't expand on that. Yeah, they confront mortality, but as I said before, the characters don't really go through an arc. I guess Jessie finds out that Buzz has an involuntary Spanish spasm that she can torture him with, and I guess by definition, I don't know, kidnap him with or something. I don't know what you'd call it.
Rape. Spanish toy rape.
No.
Well,
no.
I don't think Buzz is doing this consensually.
Clearly no. What else? I think it's just a real, like, it really just, for me, despite, like, the ending, like, it really just comes and goes. Like, I feel it evokes an emotion in me, but I don't know that I feel changed after seeing it. Now I understand that a film doesn't necessarily have to do it, but I don't think it really does. And at the same time, I feel like characters were sort of introduced when they were at the daycare and then sort of left by the wayside, mostly with like the villain council. I think the Ken Barbie thing was a kind of, hey, look who's sponsoring us, Mattel. Look at all the funny Ken is a metrosexual jokes we can make. Which I liked because it was Keaton. Had it been anyone else, I think it would have been a much weaker part of the film.
Not Jack Black.
Jack Black is Ken.
Matthew Broderick.
I'll run it a close second. Hi, Barbie. Do you want to see my dresses?
Oh, Lord.
Oh, no. I gotta go tell Lotso. And what else can I say? How
do you feel about them getting saved from their death?
Oh, yeah,
aliens?
that. Like,
only
truthfully, it would have been a much powerful ending if they did all burn horrifically.
Can I jump in on your criticism here?
Yeah, feel free.
Like,
I'm doing a terrible job.
I don't think the movie should have been made, personally, because
I think so.
I feel that it introduced in this world that all toys eventually will burn alive. And yeah, they were saved, but you basically said eventually you're all gonna... So they... Basically, in the first two Toy Story movies, I wasn't thinking toys are going to die one day. Now I am.
Yeah.
Toy Story 3 basically existed to let me know your favorite toys have inevitable deaths. I'm like, why did I need to know that? And I don't even think the movie was that focused on mortality. It was more focused on, like...
I'm not saying it was focused. I'm saying like you said, it introduced this element, which I think expanded on its already common themes, but as you put it, maybe that's to its detriment.
I feel it just felt too different. The idea of like being able to let go of someone that you've loved is just a separate thing for me than your inevitable death. Like that,
really?
It felt muddled to me. I feel that the movie should have focused on one or the other, letting go of Andy, or toys are gonna die one day. But I mean, it's not like you are going to die because Andy doesn't love you anymore. You see, like they're not really correlated.
I hate to defend this film because I have to attack it, but I feel like death is the ultimate like test of being able to let someone go. But you see that, you mean letting someone go in the like...
Well, if it was Andy that was about to burn alive, then it would make sense. Like, just for some reason, like a grown-ass college kid is like, how do I get here? Oh god, too many beers.
This landfill, where did it come from?
And then he's saved by the alien thing. It's like, what? What is happening? But yeah, I mean... Whoops. I think my switch side...
So you're saying is point Hunchback. Hooray!
I mean, that's what I feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you feel?
I feel Hunchback. In terms of a movie that connected with me in the longer term, I feel Hunchback did that in terms of like self-love and community and overcoming prejudice and the like, whereas, you know, as a college student, as a incoming college student, is like, wow, Toy Story 3 is so emotional. Now I'm just like, oh yeah, I remember when I felt sad about things. Good times.
And that's the thing for me as a longtime Pixar fan. Yeah, it came out right when I was going to college. Did not have that impact on me because Toy Story had always been a part of my life. This wasn't like coming back for me and the waves of nostalgia. It never left.
Yeah.
So ironically, because I liked Toy Story so much, I didn't feel that emotional core that a lot of other people did because they had sort of forgotten about it.
All right. How are we doing on time? Can you see?
We gotta be over.
We gotta be really.
We're over now.
Taking over people's time. Before we sign off, let's do a quick game of impossible questions. This is our
Whoops.
This is our recurring segment where Drew and I ask each other questions that we probably don't know, and that's it.
Okay.
I'll start. Hey Drew, name one song in Alice in Wonderland.
I'm late for a very important date. It's technically a song,
does that
right?
count as a song?
A Very Merry on Birthday.
Damn! Okay. You got it. Yeah, you got it.
All right, I'll give you... In Monsters University.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one I don't know if you'll know.
Yeah.
All right. So, in Inside Out.
Okay.
I'm changing it up. Unless you want both of them. In Inside Out.
Go for it.
Riley, as a kid, does not like eating what vegetable? This isn't the question, but I'm just
Broccoli.
making sure you know. Okay. But in a different country, they loved broccoli, so they replaced that vegetable with what?
Can I ask what country?
I think it was Japan.
Japan. Maki rolls?
No.
Sushi?
No.
Seaweed?
No.
Whale?
No.
Dolphin?
Whale. Dolphin? This is getting worse.
Sashimi?
No.
Is it what type of food?
It's a vegetable.
It is a vegetable. The only Japanese cuisine I know that it's vegetable is seaweed, and I guess maki. Rice? No, that's not a vegetable. Green rice. I give up. You got me.
Bell peppers.
Bell peppers.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. And they swap it out.
Yeah, and all the animation, instead of broccoli, you see bell peppers.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, it's especially weird, though, because Jealousy's design, or Disgust, oh my god,
Disgust.
I got her own name wrong, was literally, and this kind of blew my mind when I realized it, based off the shape of broccoli, which I thought was really creative.
That's interesting. I thought it was just, what if we turned Mindy Kaling green and shrunk her down?
That was Shrek. Oh my god, that was mean. It wasn't even supposed to be
Mindy,
mean.
we love you. Congratulations on your baby. We're very happy for you.
Yeah, but yeah, it always bothered me. Well, they should have changed the design of Disgust to be a bell pepper. That would have been a lot of changes.
Been very strange.
Like, oh my god, what happened to you?
Like a very rotund top, and like
If you thought fear was emaciated, wait till you see disgust. Help me. I'm disgusted with myself.
How did this happen to me? Well, that's all the time we have. If you're still with us, thanks, I guess. You're real sports for sticking around this long listening to.
For part 2 that we'll eventually do. I don't know.
It will eventually do part 2. Maybe next week, maybe a couple weeks from now.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll remember the score. Don't delete your list, because we'll need that.
Okay.
Well, until then, have a dilatory day.
Brandon, I hope you have a dilatory day too.
Thanks, buddy.
Want to give each other blowjobs?